I lost a client to an online lender because he thought he was getting a better deal, and it just wasn't true. When he initially called me up, he explained to me that he wanted to buy a house for $500,000 and he was real payment sensitive. He wasn't so cash sensitive. And for reference, I'm a loan officer. I help people with mortgages. So when I realized he was so payment conscious, I said, well, let me give you some payments at 450, 475, and 500. I might have even given him a payment at 525. I don't remember. Anyway, he goes and finds a house. He calls me back, says, I found a house. I'm under contract and I found a house for 460. Can you send me an estimate? I said, absolutely. So I send him an estimate and then I don't hear from him for a day or so. I call him. I don't hear from him. I call him again. And about a week goes by. And finally I get him on the phone. I said, what's going on? You were under contract. You were moving forward. Like, we need to get this going. He goes, well, I've decided to go with a different lender. I said, why? He goes, well, I also got a quote from this online lender, and their rate was 3/8 of a point lower than yours. It was 0.375 lower. And he said their payment ended up being $200 less a month, approximately. I said, that's really surprising because we have very competitive rates. He goes, no, that's what it was. He goes, I got an estimate and everything. I was like, can you send that to me? He says, sure, I'll text you a screenshot. So he sends it to me. And when I'm looking at it, I can see that they were charging him almost $8,000 on this $460,000 loan to get this lower payment. So I call him up and I said, hey, do you know that, yeah, your payment's $200 less a month, but your cash to close has gone up by about $8,000? He goes, well, I don't know what all the numbers mean. It doesn't really make that much sense to me, but I know my payment is less, and that's what's important to me. And I said, yes, but if you spend an extra $8,000 on this transaction, you have to take that and divide it by the $200. If you divide that, you're going to see it's going to take you 40 months to break even, about 3.5 years. So if at any time between now and the next 40 months you refinance this loan, it's going to be a bad deal. There's a good chance that rates are lower in the next 12 to 18 months, and this will not be a good deal for you. We could do a similar thing, but I typically would charge somebody $8,000 to save $200 a month. It just doesn't make sense because it takes so long to break even on the transaction.